everybody. With us tonight we have Pat Fiedler representing our Administrators Association, and we have Shoemaker and Linda Grayl from our Federation of Classroom Teachers. You'll have a chance to hear from students and some of our staff in just a few minutes. And I think we have Paul here? Yes. Paul Patron over on the side. So welcome everybody.
Welcome. At this time, I would like to ask the board if someone would please make a motion that the Waterford Board of Education approves the stipulated agreement and moves to expel student D2013, who was the subject of executive session. Thank you, Sherry. Is there a second to that motion? Second by David. All those in favor can signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you. That takes us right to our presentation tonight, which we're looking forward to.
Well, I'm pleased to welcome back a number of students, and I think 3 of our staff members who had the pleasure and the good fortune to attend the inauguration at the beginning of this week. So welcome back, and we're really looking forward to hearing about your experience. So who would like to begin? Go ahead, Brett.
Hello, everybody. My name is Brett Arnold. Okay, of course. Good evening, everyone. My name is Brett Arnold, and I am a civics teacher at Waterford High School. And I'd like to talk to you for a few minutes today and then turn it over to the students, because I'm sure you don't want to hear too much of what I have to say. They were really the ones there participating in the activities with everything while we were in Washington, D.C. At this time, I'd also like to thank the Board of Education and also Mr. Belair and Mr. Macrino for this opportunity to travel down to Washington. I know the students had to do a little bit of scrambling because they did miss one day of school. That was exams. But from what I understand and from the feedback that I've received from the staff and from the students, everything has worked smoothly in making up those exams that were missed on Tuesday. So thank you all very much for this wonderful opportunity. It was really, for me, a trip of a lifetime. The group that sponsored this educational trip was a tour company called World Strides, and from top to bottom, from our bus driver Tim to our what's the gentleman's name? Gene. Gene was our tour guide. From top to bottom, it was a top-notch organization with everything that went very smoothly. The students that traveled with us were on time. There was a couple instances when we were getting going that they needed to realize that they could not walk at the pace as they were through the Crystal Mall, that they had to be in Washington, D.C. time, and we were keeping a schedule and trying to keep a very strict schedule so we could get in to see as much as we could. I think Mr. Benilla has a couple highlights of everything that you're going to see here, but we did have an opportunity while in front of the White House to meet Governor Malloy. He was plain clothes with his wife. I think there's a picture right there. Good timing, Mr. Benillo. And if you look to the back right, that is the review area where President Obama was sitting for the review of the parade after the inauguration. It was great. Like I said, he was in plain clothes. I believe a police officer was with him. And he came right over, talked to our students, and he said, why don't we do a picture? So we got a nice picture with him there. But the students did have opportunities to meet. I don't want to jump ahead because I'm not sure what Joe has here. But the students did have an opportunity to go to the Senate building. We meet Senators Blumenthal and Senator Murphy. They did a great job during the presentations. There were opportunities for questions and answers with both of those gentlemen, and they were super to listen to, and I think the students learned a lot. We also, obviously, on Monday were at the inauguration. I jumped ahead a little bit there, but on Monday we were at the inauguration. We actually got a lot closer than I think we expected. And the students, I mean, it was something to be there in front of 1 million people, or to be a part of a crowd with 1 million people. And I think Mr. Benillo had calculated there were some 87,000 days since our country had been founded. And we were one of 57 special days on the inauguration, and I think that kind of puts it into perspective with everything. But I think what I'd like to do is, Mr. Benillo, can you show us a couple pictures of the Arlington?
Yes.
Well, okay. Okay. All right, here we go. At Arlington National Cemetery, it was, I think, an experience of a lifetime for our students and for all of our chaperones. Joe and Colleen and my mother traveled with us also. we were able to present a wreath, and the gentleman you see standing there to the left on the screen, the wreath on the ribbon does say Waterford High School, and then when they introduced the wreath-laying ceremony, they recognized that it was from Waterford High School. And I think maybe at this time it might be interesting if I turn it over to Chris and Ryan. We have Chris Venditti, who was here, and also Ryan Brazell, to talk a little bit about the wreath-laying ceremony. So I'll turn it over to them. Thank you.
So I'd like to thank you guys again, the Board of Ed and the administration, for letting us go on this trip. This right here, Arlington National Cemetery, was the selling point on the trip for me. Before I went, I didn't quite realize what the inauguration was all about. I knew what it was, but I just didn't, until you're there, I just didn't really understand how special it was and what it meant. So, but Arlington National Cemetery meant a lot to me because I'm a senior this year at Waterford High, and next year I'm enlisting in the Marine Corps. So this was something really special for me to go see, and I actually got the honor of laying the wreath with Ryan and two of our other students, and that was absolutely amazing. I can't even describe, like, I think it's, sorry, I'm a little nervous right here. I think it was just like, I don't think it's even set in yet, just to be one of the few people that's been able to walk out on, as you can see in that picture, we got to walk pretty close to the tomb, and to be right next to the tomb guards, and to hear them say that this is going to be a ceremony presented by Waterford High School just was really special to me. And also walking through the cemetery, we saw the tombstones of two graduates from Waterford High School. That's a picture right there of An, who was class of 99, I believe, and he passed in 2003. And that was also very special to see, and just how large that cemetery is. I think the tour guide said there was over 440,000 people buried. That covers over 600 acres of that cemetery. So I definitely learned a lot, and it was very special to me. We also got to see, in that picture there is Captain Arnold Holmes, who passed in Vietnam, and we got to see where he was buried also. So that was good. But I'll let Ryan say a few words.
Like Chris, I'd like to thank you all for letting us have this opportunity to go. Arlington was very special to me and Chris. We both have military ties with our families. So being a part of that ceremony and listening to the military personnel play taps in front of us, and being that close and a part of the ceremony really was special to me. It was just an honor to have that happen to us, and I'd like to thank Mr. Arnold for letting that happen as well. I didn't really realize the magnitude of Arlington until you walk through the cemetery. Like, there's so many soldiers that gave their lives to protect this country, and until you walk through the cemetery, you don't really realize what an honor it is to live in this country.
Doctor, did you want to talk a little bit about the inauguration?
So, in civics we learn about the inauguration, but when you're actually there, it's completely different because you have to wait about 5 hours before it actually starts. And so, it's not like, okay, you can just turn it on and watch it. You're standing there, and it's cold, but you have a million people's body heat. So, yeah. And for us, there was about 4 girls who got separated from the original group. We didn't know that we were actually very close to them. We thought they were way back and we were up close. Turns out we were like 50 feet away from each other. But for us, we were right up against the gate, and we couldn't see people, but we could see the stage. And it just kind of set in that, like, it's real and it's special, and it's definitely not like watching it on TV. So I'd just like to thank you for the opportunity to go see that, and to have it set in that it is a really special event that not everyone gets to see, and it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Maybe now, Mr. Vanilla, if you want to go through some of the slides here, and then we'll move on and let you get to But I appreciate you taking the time to listen to it. It was really quite a trip. Here we are, as I said,
No, very good.
we'll start again. Okay. Why don't you go through these?
There really aren't too many more slides. This is just the Governor Malloy photos, which is interesting because I recognized them and I told the kids, and then the kid I didn't expect at all to really care ran up to him and asked for a photo, and it was kind of funny. But then we just spent the days going crazy around D.C. On the bottom left is Mr. Arnold. He took us to the Vietnam site and pointed out Arnold Holmes, the point there where his name is. So I thought that kind of was continued or connected well when we went to Arlington. That's just the inauguration. A bunch of students up there on the left enjoying the flag stuff. We did. Yeah. After the inauguration, we went, which I thought was one of the more powerful moments, when we went kind of like at sunset time to the 9/11 Memorial at the Pentagon, and got to learn a lot about the details within the memorials, which I felt a lot of the students respected and appreciated, that there was so much detail went into the design of all these memorials we went to. That was a pretty powerful place to go. The photo on the left is courtesy of Waterford's Meg McBride, who is the Martin Luther King Scholarship winner at Waterford, so I thought that was kind of a nice place to go. And it's a good photo. That doesn't hurt either. And the changing of the guard in Arlington. I thought the inauguration would be the most powerful thing that the kids experienced, and to me it felt like going to the cemetery and the memorial were the most interesting thing. But I don't know if you guys want to talk about that.
No? Well, I want to thank and acknowledge the 3 staff members that accompanied the students, because it wouldn't have been possible without your participation. So Brett, Colleen, and Joe, thank you very much for providing this opportunity to our students, and I'm so glad that we were able to get you here tonight to talk about it. I was kidding them at the beginning. I was looking for them on Monday while I was watching this on television, knowing that you were there, and I was so envious. So glad to have you back, and I'm glad you had a great time.
I may just say, too, it's nice for the board to see the students really participating in an event like this, and to really bring a civics class alive, and to really, these will be memories that you'll keep all of your lives. I'm sure it's an historic event, and you really learned a lot, and it was so nice that you were able to really pay tribute to our Waterford soldiers that have lost their lives. So we're very grateful, too, for the trip, and thank you for coming out and sharing your thoughts with us tonight. Thank you.
It's okay to leave. You don't
Yeah.
I know you have midterms. Take care. See you.
I always get cheery.
Thank you. That brings us to our consent agenda. And are there any comments or questions from the board concerning the consent agenda? If not, I would accept the motion that the board approve the consent agenda consisting of the minutes of December 20th, 2012 regular and organizational meeting, the monthly expenditure report for December 2012, and the food service financial report for November 2012. Kevin, thank you. Second by David. Any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? That motion carries. Takes us right to our reading and review of correspondence.
I have a letter that you might have received. It was addressed to me as well as to each of you. I'm not sure if you received it, so I wanted to distribute a copy to you. And this is a letter from Paula McDougall, who is our dance club advisor, and she is petitioning for some space for the dance club in the new Waterford High School. And this is something that Don Macrino and I will meet with her to discuss and see if we can find some possible options. Okay, so I just wanted to bring it to your attention.
Thank you for giving us any other correspondence. Oh, Joe,
I just wanted to comment. I'm glad that you're looking into this, because it was a big I thought it was an oversight. I mean, when you read the blueprint, it said wrestling / dancing, and then once we finally, get in there and everything's built, there is not a dance.
I can't promise you anything, but we are going to explore it.
No, you're going to do it.
All in favor?
Is there any, do you have any other correspondence?
That's all the correspondence that I have.
Okay, and I don't have any. So that will take us right to our superintendent's report.
So I just wanted to point out to you that we have new student work on display. This is work from our students from Oswegatchie Elementary School. And when you get the opportunity, it's great to take a look at it. You'll have a couple of great chuckles. You have some New Year resolutions. You have some still life prints. You have you ever seen, and then they're going to continue on with their writing and their artwork, and then some instruments on display over behind. But it's great work, and I think it really brings life to the room and it reminds us of why we're here. So thank you very much for that student work on display. Also wanted to, you know what, this probably could have come under correspondence, but I put it with the superintendent's report. I received this email from Ron Fedor yesterday morning, our chair of the Board of Finance, and this was an article that appeared in the Hartford Current, and the Enfield Board of Education has taken action to send a letter to our state legislators, reminding them that unfunded mandates are not a great idea. That if they're interested in mandates, it would be great to have the money to put them into place. So I would strongly suggest that the board take a look at this, and it may be time really for the boards across the state of Connecticut to craft a letter on behalf of the board. Not that we're opposed to mandates, but it would be nice to have the necessary funding. As we went through our budget deliberations, you know we have a number of mandates that come without any funding. So I just wanted to pass this information on to all of you.
If I may just say, Kevin, you can probably add to, I do think CAVE makes this one of their legislative priorities for this year, and push it, but it's not a bad idea to let the individual boards voice their concerns. So
I just want to say, I think it would be better if we do it individually, because kids, we've had to do this for years, and we haven't gotten anywhere.
Okay.
So maybe if we do it individually.
We'll take a look at the letter.
I had provided this electronically to you, but I think it looks even better in color. So I wanted to share with you a brochure that we presented to the Waterford High School faculty, and it's really the technology workshops that Craig Kelly and Ed Crane have worked to put together. Kelly Barnes, Craig Powers, and Ed Crane to organize to help our high school staff transition in, really to orient them to the new technology tools that they'll have to support high-quality instruction. So we have a game plan, and I think the staff was greatly appreciative of that when we presented it to them on Tuesday. So I wanted you to have a copy of that.
Mr. Biller, may I interrupt you just for a moment
Yeah.
and ask? I know last year we had spoken at one point, maybe we could have a little introduction after. I know we had the budget, but some of the items, the new items that the board may not be familiar with.
Well, we were even thinking as part of the ribbon cutting and the opening of the high school is really to have those technology tools on display and really provide opportunities for the community as well as the board to actually maybe see and even interact.
Thank you.
So it's something that we hope to do.
Great. Thank you.
I also wanted to, I have a little slideshow. I received this morning from our construction manager, and it got me extremely excited about the progress of the Waterford High School, and that our move-in is just around the corner. So, believe it or not, to get excited about the science classroom floors have just been all, not only installed, but all polished and sealed, and wait till you see these classrooms. So let's hope this works.
Wow.
So you can see how the rooms are out. The furniture will be arriving soon, over the next couple of weeks. So you see some of the stations.
That's at the top of my head.
No comment. But look at that. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
What an improvement and an enhancement, huh? So you can see how the rooms are organized and set up. So
Beautiful.
just wanted to do a little show and tell. So thank you. The other thing is, I was going to ask Pat Fedor, if you'd be, if you could just give a little snapshot of a fundraiser. We're joining in. We've been talking administratively about how can we support Newtown following the tragedy, and there is a fundraiser that's going to occur across the state. And a couple of our staff members have suggested that we take it on here in Waterford, so pass them a share of what we're thinking about.
As Jerry said, they are doing a walk, a 5K walk run in, it was going to be Newtown, but it's moved to Danbury because Newtown just can't handle something like that at this time for obvious reasons. A lot of Waterford teachers started to sign up for this race, and then we realized a lot of them were signing up, but they really weren't going to actually go there. They were paying the money, which all goes to the Sandra Hook Foundation. But we wanted to do something as a community because we've been just kind of struggling in addition to looking at safety measures and practicing. We wanted to do something that would make us feel like we're reaching out to another community. So another teacher and I today went online. We registered a team that says it's Waterford School or Waterford School Community. So it's open up obviously to anyone in the Waterford community. And we will have a virtual run at Great Neck School, where we already have the footprint for a 5K run walk. And I've been in touch with Katie Anderson, Police Department, who's going to help us with permits. Fire police will be stationed throughout the walk run. And it's open up to everyone. So I did send the instructions on how to register and the name of the team, and it's a $25 registration. They promise they'll mail you shirts after the race. I'm assuming those are the leftovers from Danbury. But the important thing is that as a school town community, we come together on that day and do something together. So it will be March 23rd at 10 a.m., which is the exact time as the run is being held in Danbury. So hopefully you can all walk run with us.
Thanks very much for getting involved in that. We appreciate it. We received notification this afternoon that the Board of Finance budget review schedule has changed. And so the Board of Education will be presenting on March 20th. So I'd ask that you mark that on your calendars. I'll do frequent reminders between now and then. But we'll be presenting our budget on March 20th. And then the last thing I just wanted to mention to you is that during our budget workshops, we talked to you about an opportunity of exploring solar energy. And I just wanted to reiterate, before we move in that direction, we will come back to the board and share what we've learned in a presentation. So I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that. And that's all I have to report.
Great. Thank you. Takes us to other committee reports. Do we have committee reports from Jody?
Of course. The building committee, we met in January. We haven't had our February meeting yet. But this is just the highlights of what's going on, so you can say anything that they ask. Okay, then Jerry showed you the classrooms. We're really excited about everything. We're ready to move in. And I love the lobby. The lobby is great.
Great. Thank you, Jody. Thank you for giving us a written report.
I think it's a easy. It won't take up much time.
Thank you.
I just had a parent liaison committee report. We met 2 weeks ago, and our focus was on communication. And both Paul Patrone from the PATS as well as Kelly Barnes, our IT resource person, joined to really help parents think about the opportunities both through the media as well as with our website and other opportunities through email blasts, etc., to really keep parents well informed. It was very, very helpful to the parents. I mean, very helpful. And quite frankly, I now know how to post things on the patch. So it was time well spent.
Good. Thank you. Other reports? Okay.
I could just
with Kate.
Just real quick. Does everybody get in their emails the Kate policy highlights? Because I don't have to read through all that. And then also, just to let everybody know that the theme for the convention next year will be keeping focus on student growth in a time of rapid change. Change the words around a little bit every year. The strands basically are going to be on effective boardmanship, executive leadership, safety and security, student growth, and reform. Just to get back to the policy highlights, if I can, real quick. There was one article I thought that was kind of interesting in there. kind of talking about what we were discussing earlier, and that's a school psychologist speaking out to the issue of armed security in schools. And I just think it's a good article to read, just to get another point of view. So.
Thank you, Kevin. Just a little plug for the Waterford Education Foundation. I know the spelling bee will be coming up in March. Jim, is it the 26th still? March 26th, and I know they're really trying very hard to get good attendance there, and it's one of the major fundraisers for the Education Foundation. So if you're available March 26th, I'm sure they would appreciate your support. Thank you. That will take us. Oh, Jody, oh, good. I thought you had another one.
I didn't. This is what this flyer is what Youth Service Bureau has planned. The program is going to start the second week of February, and they added 2 new ones: journaling and also photography. And they're going to start advertising for Camp Dash. That was a summer program that they had this past year at Great Neck School, and it was a huge success. So they plan on doing that again this year in partnership with Rec Park. And they're not fundraiser, but their main activity that they're going to have this year, rather than Dancing with the Stars, it's going to be So You Think You Can Dance. And it's going to be held on April 26th. So far, they have 53 dancers, or dancers. I'm sorry, 53 dancers, and that should be a lot of fun. That'll be a nice family evening. Wade also has a new billboard going up on Route 85, probably the beginning of February, and it'll be up for 6 weeks. And Christine and her committee have been working very hard to get their grant renewed. So hopefully that'll, say a prayer, hopefully that'll go through. She and her committee have been working on it for several months now, and it's getting down to the wire now. For her, because she's such a great asset to the Bureau, and it helps us with a lot of our activities, in the school system, and they can keep that. They really help us.
Jody, you always bring us back such a nice report, and I think it's time that our board would, if you would bring back from the Board of Education, how much we appreciate it.
I will.
For all the work that the Youth Service Bureau does.
We're very lucky to have them. We really are.
We appreciate your good attendance and keeping us informed. Thank you. That takes us to our policy work for this evening. And our first series is on the civility, respectful communication, and action. This is the second reading tonight. We went through that, and Mr. Powers, if you'd like to make a comment.
This is a new policy for us. I presented it last meeting. We have no substantive changes since then, but again, I'll be happy to try to answer any questions.
We just, I think as a board, we stated the last meeting that we thought it was a nice addition. It just reminds everyone that respect and civility goes along with what we're doing in the schools. So but it was a nice addition. Are there any comments? This is your comments of the board before we move on. I think we did talk, the one word was discourages. We talked about that at the policy meeting. We didn't change that word at all. We kept it.
Legal advice.
We left that, right. So I think we'll take a motion then to, if this is the second reading and you're in agreement with it, we'll vote on each one separately. Somebody like to make the motion to accept and add this as one of our new policies? Jody?
I'd like to make a motion that the Waterford Board of Education approves and adopts policy number 0600, civility, respectful communications, and action as presented.
Thank you, Jody. Is there a second? Second, David?
Yeah, Kevin.
Oh, excuse me. Oh, Kevin, excuse me. Kevin. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll move to vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries. Takes us to our second series on personnel coaches evaluation, policy number 4115.3. And I think, Greg, we talked
This is an enhancement to our current policy, and an enhanced evaluation that was really born about with the change of legislation with respect to tenure rights for coaches, and I think this is a good enhancement, but again, happy to answer any questions.
I do too, and Mr. Pat, as we said, just,
Yep.
and I can bring your attention to under hearing procedures, D, within a reasonable period. And then again, it appears under hearing procedures within a reasonable period, and if it's all right with the board, not to hold up this reading at all this evening, but Mr. Powers will check as to what a reasonable period of time would be legally, just to protect them. Both sides thought that was a good suggestion. Yes.
I thought, or maybe I misunderstood, when I had asked at our policy meeting if we could have students.
Yeah, so Dave Souza did say that he liked that idea and he wants to incorporate that feedback, and then as far as how it would be incorporated into the evaluation, it would really be under goal setting between the athletic director and the coach. He wants to try it with some teams and see how that goes. So we're not making any substantive changes in this evaluation form because Dave wants to try it. He really thinks it's a great idea. He wants to try it under goal setting, and if that becomes successful, we can clarify this and make that amendment.
It'll be part of the policy.
But Dave really just wanted to try it this way first.
Any other comments from the board? I think this is a good addition, and it clarifies the policy that we have. Somebody like to make a motion to accept the new policy on coaches evaluation, policy number 4115.3. Okay, thank you. Second by Jody. Further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? That motion carries. Craig, if I may just go back quickly, this doesn't change the motion or the intent of the civility, but I did have a note under the disciplinary consequences. We make reference to our board policy concerning student discipline. If you could just put in there the number.
Oh,
again,
sure.
yeah, I think we do that in most when we make a reference.
Trying to catch
yeah,
that.
put it right in there. Thank you. And then that would take us to our policy on administering medication, 5141.21, which this is our second. I know it seems like the first reading because it was back in November. I went back to look, but this is our second reading, and this is to bring us up, I believe, right, Craig, to
correct. So this is the
legislation.
Really, because it's the legislative, this is the standard in which we're already operating under. Our policy is really catching up to us. This has been vetted not only by our attorney, but by the VNA as well, and it's the standard in which our nurses are operating under. And the slight enhancements to the forms are, I think, again, a good addition.
What was there any change to them at all?
From our first reading, no, not at all. But from our existing policy to this, we did do some enhancements which we vetted through the policy committee.
Okay. Any questions by the board? So
we have like count the position we have on.
So our medical advisor did review this as well.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely. That's Dr. Ehrlich.
And I did notice in that, along with your question, any changes are vetted through the
medical advisor and then the VNA who really do the in-service with our school nurses. So I left that out. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Kevin?
This is basically for medication that parents have requested be administered during the school.
Correct.
So it's not like in a situation where if a child, let's just say ADHD, forgets to take the medication home, goes to the nurse and tells them, and the parent brings in. The parent could administer it.
The parent can administer medication always, yeah. So this is really, there are some medications that the parent knows has to be administered during the school day, and this is really around that.
Okay.
But yes, parents can always administer to their own children.
Thank you, Kevin. Any other comments? If not, would someone like to make a motion to accept policy number 5141.21, administering medication?
So moved.
Kevin? Second by David. Any other comments? Hearing none, we'll move to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, that takes us to our final, I believe, our final policy. 5141.25, students with special health care needs.
And again, this was really an enhancement from the legislature. The same vetting process that I just explained occurred with this policy as well. And this is a nice addition to our existing safety protocols.
Any comments from the board? And this brings us up to date with all the statute requirements. Yep.
Still not comfortable with the words that they're practices to minimize the risk. I think it should be our goal in practices.
Yeah.
Where, John?
I did. This, and it's on page 2 here. I asked, I showed her the policy.
Craig, could you just tell the board where
Thank you.
we are?
So
I'm not sure you're being picked up on the microphone.
In the policy, special health care needs. John asked now a couple months ago to not use the word minimize in the second sentence. For this reason, the district is committed in developing strategies and practices to minimize the risk of exposure. And you wanted to use, or suggested to use, prevent or preclude. In consultation with Shipman and Goodwin, they are recommending that we cannot ensure or guarantee that accidental exposure will not occur. And they really advise us against using that promissory language so as to avoid legal claims in the event that an unfortunate accident exists. So that's why you don't see a recommended change to this policy. But again, as I stated 2 months ago, but want to emphasize, it is not by any means that we would take this lightly. It's just that legally, in a policy statement to guarantee certain things, then puts the district at a little more risk than our legal counsel is advising. That's really the reason, though I think we are in agreement with your intent, John, that that's what we're striving to do always, is the highest level of safety.
And I don't know why we don't say that. I mean, I think our policy is, we are trying, we want to prevent, and that should be our policy. I don't think that, I didn't view this as a guarantee, and if some unfortunate event happens, we're going to get sued no matter what the board say right here. But this is our attorney's advice, following your question. Okay, I'm not going to agree with it. That's fine. But we did follow up.
Yeah. I can only present to you what, and it's your attorney, if you choose as a board to go against legal counsel, that's your prerogative. But I just wanted to present to you what the board's attorney is really saying.
I understand. I don't read that as a guarantee.
Sure.
I read that as our policy and what we're attempting to do. So I don't agree with you.
Okay.
And again, it's not going to preclude a lawsuit, what these words say.
Okay.
In fact, if there is a lawsuit, these words to me are more damning than if we had said that our policy was to do that. Because it says that our policy was to minimize it, if there's some acceptable risk that we're willing to take. So that's my rationale. That's why I don't think it's
Okay.
If I may just comment, though, I do think the district takes every precaution possible. I know we do a great deal of work within the district to avoid any food allergens. We have practices in place. I know with the peanut. Yeah. So we're really working due diligence on our strategies and practices. I understand what you're saying, John, but I think it's important that we have legal advice on if we have a problem with a particular wording that we look to legal opinion. And that's not to say that we're not following and putting in place all the necessary strategies. And
I think just from a judicious standpoint, some words really mean certain things, and that's why our attorney is not advising the change. But I do respect what John is saying fully.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing none. This is our second reading of this policy, and in keeping with statute, I'd like to see this moved this evening. So if there is a board member that would please like to make a motion to accept policy 5141.25, students with special health care needs, make that motion.
So moved.
Dave? Okay, you raised your point there. And David, you can second. Okay. There's no further discussion. We'll move to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed?
Opposed.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Thank you. And that takes us right to our new business. I think we're going to hear some...
Well, we want to provide you with an update from our two workshops. And over the last 2 weeks, we've spent a great deal of time really taking a look at a fiscal plan to support our educational programs for the Waterford Public Schools. And it certainly has been a challenge, and I know the board has shared their appreciation for really involving the team through this process and what you've learned through the process. But I do want to acknowledge two folks behind the scenes that have really been a great resource to us. One has been Karen Kopek from our business office, who really has collected a great deal of data and really is an unsung hero behind the scenes. And also Kathy Canamella, who really produced the book, the document, and it was a great deal of time and effort in the formatting, and what you will see in the budget book that we move forward to the town is really an acknowledgement page, which really is also highlighting your contribution. So I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that this evening.
Thank you.
So what I'm going to do, along with what's posted, is distribute you a sheet to bring you up to date with where we are. And we have had a series of meetings since we last met. And the last one concluded about 5 o'clock tonight, so which has an impact on what you're going to be taking a look at. And so during our workshops, we talked about that we had projected a 2% increase in workmen's compensation. So I bring you, what you're seeing up here on the board is really the executive summary. So we were short by 1%, so we've added back in the 2737. Could we scroll up for just a minute, and then I'm going to come back to the health insurance in just a minute. The decrease for other purchased services, let me find out the line here. You look right here at $16,040. A week ago, I think it was the day after, we did our second workshop. Bill joined representatives from the town along with the vendor for this particular software package. As a result of the work of Mr. Russell with the vendor, we really culled through the features and we identified those that weren't needed for us. And we've been able to reduce the price by $16,040. So going from $40,300 increase to approximately, say, a little over $24,000 for that feature, for time and attendance. The other thing that we talked about during our workshops, there were two dues and fees that we were eliminating that we should have deducted prior to the publication of the document, which we picked up in error. And then when Jay Miner presented the maintenance piece just on that Tuesday at our school building committee, we really revisited the $1,500, and with the project and the frequency of meetings, did we really require that sum of money that was funded for the last couple of years. So if I could ask you to go back for just a minute to the health insurance. What you see here is a further reduction in health insurance, which really is great news. We're talking about being able to reduce this line by more than $278,000 in addition to the $300,000 plus. And so what's important here is we spent at least 3 hours on Tuesday, I think it was, and we met with Joe Spurgeon, who is our agent of record through Lindbergh and Ripple, and Phil and I sat alongside of Rudy and Dan, and Joe Spurgeon had gone through all of Anthem's proposals when it was first presented, and if you recall, the projection was a 12% increase. Well, Joe went back to the vendors, and he challenged some of their figures and some of the ways they had calculated, and we have reduced that increase to a 8.95% increase in the health line. And then with all of the work that we've been doing with the various approaches that we've taken with our collective bargaining units, we're able to reduce an additional $228,000.
And this is $590,000 less than last year's budgeted item.
Now, what I want to say to you is the increase, the real driver in this budget I shared with you through the workshop is the tuition account of $430,000. So if you look at bottom line, the bottom line increase is $423,405, and tuition is a $430,000 increase. If we did not have that increase, we would be below zero. And so what I'm presenting to you tonight is a budget that reflects just under a percentage point, 0.96%. And we'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
This is very good news for the board this evening.
And we finished at about 5 o'clock.
Thank you. And I really just want to speak out for a moment and just say that really getting this health insurance under control and really working on it for the last couple of years has really helped stabilize the budget. This is additional, but my question is, the 8.9%, we feel good with that figure?
We do, and that was the question that we said to Joe Spurgeon, is do we see this being any higher than the 895? And he said, no, that's your bottom line, it will go no higher.
Thank you for following up and doing that additional work for us. I do think this is the lowest percentage that we've ever had in a budget, proposed budget, and from the time that I know of in Waterford's history. And at the same time, just like to make public that we are still protecting our education program. So this is important that we maintain the excellence in the school system. But I would like to totally out of the control of the Board of Education, the tuition piece. So this is remarkable to have such a sound budget. We'd like to recognize all the people that work very hard to get this number where it is.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you to all the people that work hard, the administrators and teachers, and particularly with your administrative team here tonight. But you didn't tell us, I know it was until 5 o'clock, so this is hot off the press, but this is good news for the Board of Education tonight, and I think the community should be very pleased. It's infrequent that we get a plan like this and that we see everything here is reduced, so thank you. I didn't mean to take up the floor. If someone would like to make comments, is there any part of the budget that we went through and that you still have a question about, Mr. Belair? John?
You talked, I think maybe in the first workshop about Common Core curriculum and the fact that it was an added mandate, state mandate, and then you thought that it would be I suggested that if it wouldn't be a significant amount of money, that we highlight that in the executive summary letter. Again, not that I'm kind of judging on Wilford curriculum, but if it's just a buffer, and then we not anticipate that something like this is done.
Actually, John, it's a great suggestion. So in the revision to the introduction to the budget, you will see that highlighted, and we've added an appendix to the back of the budget book. So there will be some background in there on for the public to understand what Common Core means. In addition, we'll have an opening as to the funding levels within this budget that supports Common Core. And so, for example, when we look at our professional development line within the budget, in many cases we are reallocating, refocusing resources in order to support. And then in some places there are some additional costs, so we're going to highlight those within the appendix. So that there's, and it was a great suggestion. So it's something that we've worked on since our last workshop. Thank you.
Other comments? Quiet board. Jody?
I just wanted to thank you. I think you did a nice job with the budget. And I really like the budget. So don't you want to work here full time? You've got a great
I've already done that. 82 to 85.
Thank you, Jody.
Great help.
Yeah.
Great help.
Jerry, the one piece that I know you were going to be adding, do we have our mission statement?
Yeah, it goes to in the back of the book.
Because I didn't say it fine. Oh, there it is.
So we distributed.
That's right. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, I think I don't think you're hearing tonight. Is everyone pleased, I believe, by hearing this good news? And just thank you again for all the hard work that went into producing this budget. And if there are no other comments,
You need a motion that reflects that dollar.
we're going to change the amount from our budget workshops to reflect the new dollar amount. Would somebody like to make a motion to accept the superintendent's budget to the board? Sherry?
Yes, I'll make a motion that the Waterford Board of Education approve the 2013-2014 education budget in the amount of $44,622,758.
Thank you, Sherry. Is there a second to that?
Second.
I think Jody.
Sure.
Oh. Okay. Is there any more discussion? Again, just thank you for the hard work that went into producing this budget. This now belongs to the Board of Education. We accept it, and we're very pleased that
We'll see you on March 20th.
you worked so hard. Thank you. And this brings us right, I think. We do our
Committee.
You need a
Oh, I'm so anxious. Okay, we have Sherry and Jody. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? That motion is carried. We almost went away with us doing that. Thank you.
I wouldn't let you go.
All right. That takes us to our board appointments and representatives for the 2013 year. We've had discussion with the board prior to tonight's meeting. You should have the updated list in front of you, and I just want to thank and recognize the Board of Education. You will see there's an addition here to liaison to the schools, just to let the administrators. This is just a friendly liaison. We just want to show you that we're supportive, and at times the board living in the area of the schools will represent the board if we have a particular special event, graduation. So you'll see names listed at the various schools. That's a new addition that we started in practice a little bit. We added officially there, and I don't think I need to go through each committee. I will bring to the board's attention that Sherry has agreed to serve on the policy committee, so we're pleased to have Sherry aboard. And we will be developing an ad hoc self-evaluation subcommittee, and I think we can add Kevin Brunel's name to that committee tonight and open that to any other board member that would like to participate. This, if you'll remember, is in keeping with the goals we established last summer. One was to redo the self-evaluation tool that we are given by CAPE. We want to work on that tool and produce one for ourselves. I don't anticipate that will be too many meetings, but if you're interested in joining in with John and Kevin, we'll let you know. Or if you want to volunteer tonight, feel free. Okay. So I think if you take a look, is everything in order? All right. Then I would like to take a motion to accept the new committee assignments for 2013 as presented. Jody? Thank you. Second by David. Thank you. Any discussion? Yes, Sherry.
We haven't met in a while. I'm just curious about what our plan is going forward.
Well, we met prior to the budget to really go over the process that we wanted to follow and took advice, and now we've been involved in all of the budget workshops. So we'll come back with identifying a timeline to give an update as to where we stand in the current budget.
Thank you, Sherry. If there are no other comments, we can move to a vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? That motion carries. Well, Ann is not present tonight, so please
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Kevin's got his motion in. Is there a second?
7:59.
I didn't hear a second. Second by Jody. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. We are now adjourned. Thank you.